Kurt Riley, I'm going to ask you the same question that I ask everybody who I am interviewing cold here. How you ended up making music in Ithaca.
Oh, man. Well, I first got into music when I was living in Memphis, Tennessee. I got into all the early Sun artists, all the Delta Blues. I started listening to all the chess guys up from Chicago, Muddy and Howling Wolf. And then Jimmy Reed on VJ, all those guys.
Now you're in good company with those inspiration.
Those guys, yeah. I learned how to play guitar by listening to Bo Diddley. He was my man.
Of course.
Because you only need one chord, you know?
Right.
So,
yeah, right.
But you got to have the rhythm.
You got to have the rhythm, and you got to know which notes to play.
Mm-hmm, exactly. And so after that, I moved around a lot. But I came to Ithaca to actually go to Cornell.
Okay.
I came from a community college in Memphis, Tennessee. I was the first individual in my family to go to an Ivy. I was kind of awestruck when they accepted me. I thought maybe there's a mistake or something. But no, I came to Cornell and graduated in 2 years, and I've stayed here because while I was here, I got into the music community here, and I've never been in one that's so welcoming and so open to people who are doing things that are different and a little weird, which I am. So
it's no surprise to me.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So this happened when?
This would be, let's see, I moved here in 2014 and graduated in 2016. And so during my undergraduate time at Cornell, I participated in a small independent record label here and put out a record called Kismet that did really well. All the newspapers and media outlets were really, really kind and gave it a lot of praise. And it made me think, hey, maybe I should keep doing this, And so put together a group and played out and did some great shows. And then just recently recorded and released my new album called Tabula Rasa, which has also gotten great reception so far. And our shows have gotten a great reception too, so we're just plugging away, and it's been excellent so far.
Well, I think that's a good segue to let us play a track off of Tabula Rasa.
Yeah, let the music do the talking.
Yeah, absolutely. So this tune is called Century, and it is off of Kurt Riley's latest release, Tabula Rasa. Kurt Riley and Century off of his latest release, Tabula Rasa. You're listening to Eclectic Currents here on WRFI, and I've got Kurt Riley live here in the studio. So this is your latest work.
Yes, sir.
And you play guitar.
Yeah, I play a couple instruments. Guitar's definitely my favorite.
Okay.
To be sure.
And so did you play more than one instrument on this track?
Well, on this song on Century, I played piano on it too.
Okay.
But on most of the record, I stuck to vocals and guitar because this time around it was much different than Brighthead and Kismet. On Tabula Rasa, I was able to work with an amazing band, and they were better than I am in every respect on their respective instruments. Mm-hmm. So there was no need for me to really play anything else.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's great. So there's a mix of sort of genre things going on in that tune. You talk about playing the piano on it, and it starts off with almost like a jelly roll.
Oh yeah.
Oh
yeah.
And that's kind of cool because the song is definitely much more of a sort of a pop rock kind of song. Mm. Where are your musical influences coming from there?
Well, I love combining disparate genres. I feel like that's part of how you create something new.
Sure.
I mean, rock and roll, the archetype came from, white country music and black rhythm and blues.
Right. Well, as you said, Muddy Waters and...
that's the genesis of all great music, combinations. And so I grew up, loving all of those piano players like Jerry Lee and Jerry Roll and all that. And but I also love a lot of new wave music and post-punk and post-disco from the early 80s. And so I wanted to sort of merge them together and then put this zeitgeist sort of topical matter in there. So.
Sure. So what did you study at Cornell?
I was in the School of Industrial and Labor Relations.
Aha. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
So the music was not part of your, formal training.
Oh, no. I've never really had lessons. I think I had drum lessons for a couple months when I was about 13, but I couldn't really get the hang of Metallica, so my teacher wasn't happy with me. I wanted to play Bo Diddley, and he wanted me to play like Lars, and I wasn't having it. There's no swing in metal.
Oh, fascinating. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, but I would have loved to have studied music at Cornell. There's brilliant players there, and I've had the pleasure to work with some of them, but things didn't turn out that way.
So you are completely self-taught then? I mean, aside from your couple of months of drums.
Yes, sir. Yes. And you wouldn't know it by hearing me play the drums.
All right.
You would.
I'll reserve judgment on that. But in the meantime, so you arranged the albums that we're listening to.
Yes.
Cool. Well, that implies a certain innate sense of music, which is very impressive.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. So we're actually working our way backwards through Kurt Riley's catalog here. We played a tune off of his latest album, Tabula Rasa, and now we're going to go back to, not that long ago.
1 year ago.
2016. But you recorded this album basically yourself.
For the most part, I did have an excellent foundation. I worked with a drummer named Olivia Dowd and a bassist named Charlie Fraioli. And so we cut the basic rhythm track for Kismet.
Both of whom I know. Yes.
You know them?
Yes, of course.
Oh, fantastic!
Yeah,
they're amazing. I adore them. We cut the basic rhythm tracks in Lincoln Hall at Cornell, and then I overdubbed all the other instruments in my dorm room, much to the chagrin of my neighbors.
Yes, I'm sure. Nonetheless, it's not an uncommon phenomenon around here.
I don't doubt it.
So this is called Eye of Ra, and it is off of Kurt Riley's second full-length album.
Yes, sir.
Called Kismet.
We've been saving here. Tell me why. We'll be working here till we die. chariot shining. The occupant pining. For the woman is stranded. In the desert she landed. Victim of a deceiver. Her living will leave her. She can save the subaltern from the flaming witch weaver.
Kurt Riley, Eye of Ra. You are listening to WRFI Community Radio for Tompkins and Schuyler Counties. I am DJ Jaman, and I am here with Kurt Riley in the studio. And so, Eye of Ra and Kismet. So we're not only mixing musical genres, we're like mixing cultural references as well.
Yeah. Well, Kismet is a concept album about an alien king that comes to Earth in search of his true love, who's been marooned here. And so I always really loved Arabic tonality in music.
Okay. Sure.
I was first introduced to it, as most people probably were, with Paint It Black.
Right.
But then I also started listening to a lot of groups. There's the Master Musicians of Jajaka, which are this brilliant Moroccan group that are thousands of years old, and they send they teach their children how to play their music, and so it's a lineage.
Oh, wow.
And I love that sort of Arabic tonality, the horns and reeds, and I wanted to sort of marry that with a rock and roll song. And so that was where that Eye of Ra came from.
Sure. So that synergy of both the genre bending and combining, along with the cultural themes, that takes a fair amount of like brain work to put together.
Well, you're assuming a lot about what's inside here. But,
well, I'm just saying. I mean, look, obviously you can write music and not put that much cerebral effort into it.
This is true.
So you have a motive.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Well, when I was a younger man, now that I'm ancient, when I was younger, I heard this quote from Pete Townsend, and he said that he believed pop music should be art, and that it should be treated as art. And below the pretense, I always felt that was actually very, very beautiful, because the best music that saved my life, and so many musicians' lives, I imagine, when they first heard music, was art. It wasn't just, baby, baby, let's get in the club, shake it. It had something to it. Even if it was not complex lyrically or musically, there was something at its core that was deeper than just
it was music.
Lowest common denominator. And I always feel that it's a responsibility you have as an artist to perpetuate that, to keep making art and continuing the conversation. And so I've always wanted to create something that would be, that would serve the ear as musical candy and be fun, but also have some depth to it too.
Well, definitely achieving that.
Oh, thank you.
So let's go on to the, as I said earlier, we're moving backwards through Kurt's catalog, and this is Into the Oven off of his 2011 release, Brighthead. And if I get my timeline correct, this is from before you got to Ithaca.
Yes, I released this in Florida. I recorded it in a garage home studio that belonged to a fellow named Steve Cruz, who's an incredibly kind guy. And his son, Jordan, now goes by the name Boots, and he produced Beyonce and Run the Jewels, and
oh my,
it got really, really successful, which was really awesome. And they were both a joy to work with. Every morning we'd down buckets of black coffee and go in their studio and just hop up with all these ideas, and we'd banging pots and pans and hitting cowbells and using all sorts of weird instruments, and it was just a joy.
So I didn't give you the opportunity up front with the other ones, but why don't you tell me a little bit about what went into this album and this song?
Into Brighthead?
Yes, and Into the Oven.
Well, Into the Oven was my it was my dalliance with sort of Spanish guitar. I've always loved those flamenco players and that lush, beautiful tone and that
With the roll
oh
and the
God, it's
thumb and
so
tapping
romantic
the,
and beautiful. And so I always thought it would be just this funny sort of thing in a black humor sort of way, as if there was this girl who she was caught being unfaithful and she's telling her man, but if you leave me, I'd rather put my head into the oven, the Sylvia Plath sort of thing. And so that popped into my head and I wrote this Spanish guitar song around it.
All right.
So
well, let's listen to this.
Okay.
This is Kurt Riley's Into the Oven of his 2011 release, Brighthead.
Well, I saw you outside with the man you lied about. Before you start to shout, I want you to understand. I gave you my time, I gave you all love, my love, the kind from high above, the measure of a man. And she said to me, ooh, I cannot live without your loving. Ooh, might as well stick my head into the oven. It's not hard to choose when you stand to lose. A man like me. Pretty soon you'll see. He may have muscles and cars, and that'll take you far for now. But soon you will find out true love comes from me.
Kurt Riley and Into the Oven off of his 2011 album Brighthead. So, all your stuff has definitely a danceable beat.
Yeah, you
For the most part.
gotta be able to make people move.
Yeah, I hear you. So let's segue from that comment into where people can see you.
Oh yeah.
Over, in the months to come.
Yeah. Well,
What's your schedule?
We've got 2 big shows coming up in June. The first is on June 9th at the Boathouse Beer Garden, and that's with Vinegar Williams. And then the second one is on June 10th, the day after. That's at the Dock with Teen Cat.
Cool.
So they're both going to be a gas.
All right. And what's your... where are you headed, Kurt Riley?
What is it John Lennon said? To the top of the pops, the toppermost of the poppermost, Johnny. I mean, I definitely want to gain as much legitimacy, get as successful as possible.
Uh-huh.
I owe it to my family for putting up with me for so long as a teenager. But yeah, I feel that it would be an absolute dream, and I think I've got what it takes.
Well, confidence is like 90%.
Okay.
Well, or maybe
Alright.
50%.
50%.
And showing it up is 90%. Or something like that. Anyway, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much for stopping by and sharing your time.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's been a joy.
Good. Well, Kurt Riley here, folks, on Eclectic Currents on WRFI, community radio for Tompkins and Schuyler counties.